You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Woo! November, okay? November has came in here and has taken me for life. I mean, this past week, it just felt like nonstop. Like something was going on. I feel like every day. I was so tempted to do a very special edition episode, but I said no. I wanted to see how these results are going to plan out. And I also didn't want to date the episode too much because we didn't know what was going on with the midterms. And I think we have a better idea now. So I just have so much to say. But I'm going to get into it. I mean, for starters, my week was awesome. I did the WRD special, which so many of you all listened to for the midterms, of course, with Labor's District Council, Ryan Boyer. And we did it with Joanne Bell, who's an incredible Black woman who has been doing a lot of work in Philadelphia for a long time. And she is like a consultant. She's worked with unions. She's big on labor. She was incredible. And also someone I've looked up to for a long time. So it was great to have this moment with her. We were at Relish, which is one of my favorite restaurants from the Biden brothers. And I have to say, the best soul food in Philadelphia, in my opinion, consistently. Now, there's some places that do good, but I'm talking about an actual sit-down restaurant. I feel like Relish is everything that people thought Miss Tootsie's were. Now, rest in peace to Kevin Parker. Because I have went to, Kevin Parker's and Reading Terminal. I've been to a lot of places, but I must say, I love what Relish brings. I mean, it's in the Northwest, so maybe that has something to do with it. But the soul, the taste, the consistency, the seasoning, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of them. So shout out to Relish for having us there. Of course, I had to have a plate. Met a lot of politicos. We're back at it again. We have a lot going on, with a lot of people getting ready for this mayor's race. A lot of people who I thought was not going to run. It looks like they're going to run. I have so many mixed thoughts, but, we'll get to it. So yeah, the election day situation, we'll get into the midterms in a minute, but the election day special with WRD was a success again. Looking forward to the big primaries in the spring when we do it again, all over again. May is just around the corner, so get ready for that. The gala. Oh my goodness, the gala, the PABJ gala. Where do I begin? First of all, as president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, I want to thank every person who bought a ticket, sponsored us, bought tickets for students to go. It was a successful event. We had it in the Science Center, University City, the Quorum Lounge. Great turnout, great people all around. We honored some heavy hitters, okay? Rick Harris, who was the general manager for NBC 10 Telemundo, was there. He got honored with the Impact Award. Rick Williams from 6 ABC, the legendary Rick Williams, received Journalist of the Year. Ronald Gray, who's one of my favorite photographers in Philly, who also has done my headshot. So the Ernestly Speaking headshot that you all see right now, Ronald Gray took that photo. He received Visual Journalist of the Year. He won that honor. Joss Duncan Ashe won the Trailblazer Award. She is from Love Now Media. And Scott Charles received the Community Service Award. And he does a lot of work around trauma and gun violence in North Philly through Temple Hospital. So a lot of great winners. I had a couple surprise winners myself. I announced PABJ's first ever Thumbs Down Award to the Philadelphia Inquirer for their failure to acknowledge the DEI issues, collaborating with affinity groups, the lack of collaboration and engagement of affinity groups. This is not a good award. And it was a direct action how we did it, how I framed this, how the board framed it. It was something a lot of you all saw it on Instagram videos and clips and pictures. Everybody would know what happened. Okay, so let me tell you how this went down. For starters, you all know already that PABJ, AAJA, and AHJ, so this is the Asian American Journalism Association of Philly and the National Hispanic Journalism Association of Philadelphia, joined forces with Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, so this is PABJ, and the Free Press, which is a nonprofit organization that works to also enhance access to media. We all formed a group called JAWN, JAWN, the presidents of this group, the leaders of this group. And this is the Journalism Accountability Watchdog Network, JAWN. So if you're in Philly, you've heard of JAWN before. But this is an acronym, clearly. But this was formed because we felt like we need to join forces together. We've been attacking each of these affinity groups, especially Black journalists, have been attacking these issues on DEI individually, but we realize that there's problems where we're in silos, and they benefit from us being in silos. So we decided that we wanted to form this group to just kind of let them know that we're stronger in numbers and we're stronger together. And the work that we're doing at John is incredible. And the first institution that came to mind was the Inquirer, because the Inquirer has consistently dropped the ball when it came to diversity, equity, inclusion. I mean, they keep losing Black and brown journalists left and right. Either they have low numbers or they don't have any at all. The one thing that stood out to me the most was that there was one period of time this year where they did not have a Black male reporter that wasn't covering sports in their newsroom. They have since found one person to fill that role, but only one, in a room that has dozens upon dozens of employees. They have no Black people in their investigations desk anymore. They lost one of their lead videographers, who was a Black queer man. And across the board, there's a lot of bad morale, lack of Latinx representation in certain departments, and horrible stories, especially from millennials who have been working there, who felt like they experienced racial microaggressions. Now, as PABJ president, I have been very steadfast in asking the question and demanding for there to be more accountability, more clarity. We've asked for conversations and meetings, and instead of getting those things, we've been gaslighted, disrespected. We've been given a runaround. And at some point, we said, we have tried to do this in a way that was internal. And we tried to do this in a way that was the typical open letters. But we have decided that we want to up the ante. And I'm all for direct action. That is the way that I've understood activism, right? Direct actions are things that are not necessarily steadfast protests in the way that we traditionally see them, but they're not all also as subtle or as soft as some people would argue as an open letter or a petition. So there's this middle ground, and direct actions are very effective if done right. They target the source. They do it in a way that is strategic, and direct actions bring direct dollars and direct change. I mean, that's what it seeks to do, right? It takes it a step further. So what happened at the PABJ gala, this past weekend was nothing short of a direct action. We were at the awards, John was, and we had this moment, and all of our leaders were there, and people were looking at us, and what we knew was the Philadelphia Inquirer had bought 10 tickets. They didn't buy a table, but they bought 10 tickets. And when they came into the place, they didn't really say anything to most of the affinity leaders. I mean, some of the staff did, let's be clear. There were Black and brown staff that were with them. So they kind of used this thing where they brought the staff. And I think there was this perception that, look at us bringing our diverse staff here. They used them almost as props to shield them from whatever accountability that they thought they might have encountered. Now, to be clear, no one knew this award was given out except for the board and myself. No one else knew. We didn't tell anyone else. We didn't want the leak. We wanted to have a surprise effect. We wanted to be a shocker. It worked because a lot of people were like, whoa, I didn't see this coming. It was an ambush, but in a way that was nonviolent, of course. The plan was to shake up the room. This is a room with a lot of industry heavyweights. This is a room with a lot of influential people. This is a room where, you're being celebrated. This is a room where media is there. You had the major broadcasting stations. You had every prominent media outlet represented in some type of way. This was that room, right? And so we knew that for them to receive this type of award in front of their peers was going to send a message loud and clear. One, to other people in that room that this isn't okay. Two, a way to double down on the issues that have gotten to this point. And let's be clear, it was the elephant in the room. A lot of people have had issues with the Philadelphia Inquirer for a while, and they've seen these issues, and no one knew how this was going to play out. Like, they didn't know, how can we address this issue? How can we make this issue something that people can really hold on to? So, for starters, the plan was to give them an award, the Thumbs Down Award, which is what we agreed on. And it's given to a media outlet or organization that pretty much, can be in trouble for numerous things. It was adopted from NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists. They give out a Thumbs Down Award every year. PABJ, we adopted some of that ideology behind the Thumbs Down Award to bring it to a local level in Philadelphia. And as you all know, PABJ is the founding chapter of NABJ. We came out first. We were founded in 1973, got established in 1974. And of course, NABJ was founded and established in 1975. So we predate them. And when I think about this Thumbs Down Award, we was like, this is a moment. This is a moment. And we went all the way. We actually got a trophy designed. We actually got an award designed, glass with the engraving and everything on it. It was actually a real award. And I got a chance to speak, before the industry and people there, and built it up and then told them who was getting the award. And when people found I was the Inquirer, everyone was dead quiet. It's almost like you can hear a pin drop in there by how quiet it was. And while we were going through this and we were having these conversations, where people was looking and reacting, we presented the award. Tahid, who's on my board, accepted the award and went straight to the executive editor, who his name is Gabe Escobar. He is the executive editor of the Philadelphia Inquirer, and presented the award right to him, to which he accepted. And he sat on the floor. He did not leave. People were like, oh, did he storm out? Was he going to leave? I was like, no, he wasn't going to leave, because I think, in my opinion, I don't know why he stayed or why he didn't stay. But what I would figure into myself is that the optics of it would have looked bad. If he would have got this award, he would have got and left, he would have been defensive. But the leadership and the people that were there had to sit there in that discomfort. They had to sit there because they didn't see this coming. And it took the life out of them. And I think that it was something to be said about that humiliation. Because after that, every awardee and every person who got up on there made some joke one way or another about not wanting to get a Thumbs Down award. The other honorees, this happened right in the beginning. We got it out the way. And it set a tone for the rest of the night, where everyone really began to emphasize their compassion, their investment in DEI, but also just how we deserve better as a people. And I think that was what the core of this was about, was that, yes, this is something that isn't new. But just because it's something that isn't new doesn't mean that it should be accepted. That that this idea of it being tradition somehow allows us to just treat it as a status quo. And that wasn't okay with me. It wasn't. And it wasn't okay with PABJ. And so when we gave them this award, we sent a message loud and clear to them that this ain't it. and so they learned very fast, you know. So it was a moment, but the rest of the gala went on fabulously. My lovely friends came out, the Lip Brothers came out. We had such a fabulous time. Josh, George, Marcus, and myself. My favorite future doctor, Dr. Parks, Amanda, she came out. Um, Her boyfriend came to the after party, but I could tell he was like thinking to himself, "Damn, he should have been at the main event," you know. But let me tell you, I'll say this. I don't know what the straights be out here doing with these pop up visits. They like to surprise. I hear the straights love to surprise their lovers. I like to just pop up on them. I don't know about the gays. Do the gays do that? I don't think the gays do that. I mean, I was never a gay that popped up unless I was trying to spy. Like I was on some, are you cheating on me? Now this is clearly before I was married with Mr. Johnson, but I hear that the straights love to do this thing where their boo can be out having plans and they just say, you know what, I'm just gonna stop by and come through real quick and surprise you, cancel your plans or try to cancel your plans and be with you. I listen, as one of the gays, I would say, if I say I am gone for the weekend, you can't surprise me, or you surprise me, but you better know that nothing's gonna stop what I gotta do. But the straights love it. The straights love to do that. It's cute though. I think it's cute. It depends on who you are though. You gotta be with a person for a long time. Because if you do that and you only been with the person for like a couple of months, it's giving borderline stalker. But if you do it and y'all have been some years in the game, it can be cute. Especially if it's a long distance relationship. Um it's just yeah. So it was a great night. Everyone was out. My girl Laura was there. My girl Lauren was there. It was a great, just great vibe. Oh, Anthony Phillips, who is now a city councilman elect, won his special election race, replacing Sherelle Parker's seat. Because Sherelle Parker is now, of course, citizen Sherelle, and she's running for mayor, Philadelphia mayor. So her seat is vacant in the district, the 9th district, which is in the Northwest. And Anthony Phillips is replacing her. Now, Anthony Phillips was in my wedding. He was in my husband's wedding party. He was one of his, I guess they'll call him groomsmen. So it's great to see. That's just a full circle moment for me. But he came. Who else was there? That was just fabulous. I mean, it was a great show. It was a great party. And then we had the after party, which was a surprise to me. The surprise of it all was the gang got together with a surprise after party at the W. It was at 11 o'clock. And I was, first of all, the gala was fabulous. I mean, shout out to Miss Dawn. Miss Dawn, I've been praising Miss Dawn. Details about Miss Dawn. She did my wedding shower last year. And she does Thanksgiving dinner for Mr. Johnson and I. Every Thanksgiving, she's been catering us for several years now. She's our personal caterer, but she also, of course, we have to share it with the rest of the world. But she is just fabulous. I have leftovers that I have to not eat right now. I have to treat the leftovers as lunch, but we had everything. It was crab cakes and salmon and scallops and steak and it was lavish. The party was on top of the world. But this after party was in the speakeasy at the W. Now, if you've been to the W Hotel, I can't assume what my listeners do. But this is a back room, like a speakeasy. So if you go into the W, you go down, on the first floor level. You know that main bar that everyone goes to at the W. Behind there is a very luxurious little like a little sectioned off. I mean, it can fit 2 sections. It was like 2 big old white couches. It's gorgeous in there. I was like Andy Warhol, Grace Jones art. I mean, it's a private room. And it's like top VIP vibes. I mean, we had bottle service, we had Moet, we had, of course, Blue Coat, because I love Blue Coat. And it was a great after party, y'all. Everybody was in. Well, the crew was in. The Lip Brothers were there and friends. And it was popping. It was popping. PABJ was a PABJ after party. And it was fabulous. It was a good time. I mean, Brittany was there. It was a good group. It was a good gang. It was a good group. We had a good time. And it was a memorable night for so many reasons. So if you look through the pictures, there's a very beautiful, I think it's cerulean blue couch, and you can see me posing on it. If you see those backgrounds, that was the room. This speakeasy. That's like a minimum of like, I think you have to drop like at least 2,000 in order to be in there. But I must say it was worth it. Definitely was worth it. I would say 10, highly recommended. Um, listen, it's one of those things where you do it to say you've done it, but you got to see what happens, um, because it was fabulous. It was such a fabulous time, and so many memories, and so many good people and great vibes. Such a night. And I will say this too. What let me just. I'm going to save that for later in the conversation. I had something I want to say, but I'm going to save that for later in the conversation. As far as everything else goes, my look, by the way, I slayed my look. Shout out to the wonderful people at Men's Warehouse for making sure Calvin Klein came through with the tux. I had my Calvin Klein tuxedo I got, and I had a whole silver look, which worked. I got the nails redone. Okay, shout out to my girl V at Lux Nails in University City. Got the nails done to match the shoes with this look. I had I had a platinum look. The whole plan was to be platinum. The platinum prints. That was what I was going for. I had the Movado, on the wrist. I had the Tiffany, on the other wrist. I was just styling and profiling. Okay, the cut had to be on point. Saran did it. Okay, Saran had me looking good. First Decisions, my barber, he had me looking good. I came in there looking real good. Mr. Johnson looking like looking like a provider. Oh, such a nice night. We did that. We definitely did that. It was glamorous. It was a lot of black excellence, black beauty. Okay, the gala was beautiful, black and beautiful. I have an Instagram story. If you go to Instagram memories, you know how you can do the stories. There's a memories. I created a memories in my Instagram, so you can click and see all the videos and clips and photos of the event. It is a memory, and I want to cherish that night, and it is there. So you all can check it out. And also support PABJ, thepabj.org. You can make a donation on the website. We're a 501c3, so get your tax write-off on. Thepabj.org, you can make a one-time donation. Check out who we are. Get to know our board and our leadership. We're a great group. So just stay tuned for that. Now, before I get into this, can I just say Sunday Supper has been killing it? I know y'all been looking at my stuff and, being like, yo, what's been this. Listen, I've been doing it, okay? Listen, every week. So this week was Mr. Johnson, and he made this French beef stew. I'm not even going to try to butcher the name, but you'll see on Instagram the name. But listen, every Sunday supper ever since we moved here, we've been doing this, and it was his idea. He was like, we want to do this thing every Sunday. We can cook and make it a thing, and it is crazy. It is crazy good. My esteemed taste testers, my little brother who is from Temple. Translation: he wants a home cooked meal every Sunday, so he's one of the test tasters, and oftentimes Dr. Parks. Amanda will come through and she will taste test. I trust their judgment. They're on two different spectrums of experience and taste. And if they both can agree that it's good, then that's how we know it's great. So, no, I was excited. This week was great. Such a great time. Such good food. And before we get into the hot topics of this episode, I do want to say to people who've been asking, there's been a lot of pre-press for the book that I've been doing. And some of you all have been catching little things, seeing who's following my page. I will not confirm nor deny any of the interviews or speculation of what you think. Mind your business. Okay? Because some of y'all are looking at some things and being y'all peeping this is I'm noticing. So there are some pre-press, there's some interviews I may have done. There might be some publications that might be running excerpts of the book that, are going to surprise some of you all. I have no comments. I cannot speak on any of those things. I cannot confirm nor deny them. Whatever you think, you might be right. Whatever you think, you might be wrong. There is no wrong or right. I cannot say anything about it. But some of you all have been catching certain things and starting to put things together. And I just want you to just listen. If I could say something, I would. I can't say anything right now because we're getting ready. We're pre-marketing. We're 100 days away. Did you hear that? 100 days away. Okay, The Case for Council Culture. February 21st, 2023. It's available wherever books are sold. That's all I can say right now. That's all. All right. So let's talk about what everybody's here to talk about, right? Let's talk about why we're here, okay, at the top of the hour. The midterms. The midterms. There's so much that's been said about the midterms already, and I know some of you all, were probably like, well, what does EO has to say about it? I have a lot to say, actually, and I think what's missing is a lot of, black voices like mine talking about it, actually. I'm tired of all these really old white men that's been able to talk about these elections. And also the platforms being given to people who made bad predictions. How are you going to how did you get the reap in the victory of getting to talk about the election, but then you was also someone who casted the wrong vote? Like you had the wrong prediction, basically. Only in politics and political punditry do losers get to have a seat at the table to get the way in again and again and again when they're dead wrong every time. It's the double standards for me. Seriously. The level of privilege that some of these people get to be able to talk about politics and, just keep fucking up, right? So I'm going to talk my shit right now because I am called certain races. I had a certain type of mindset about this, and I'm going to talk my shit a little bit. So for starters, okay, all this hype that there was going to be a red wave. Y'all heard that. Red tsunami. All this, red that. Because I'm going to talk broadly, and I'm going to go and dissect closer to home. It was all this talk about a red wave, and it was really nothing but a red mirage. All of this scare and these fear tactics about Trump candidates and blah, blah, blah. I never saw it for Trump. I just think what people got to realize is that I'm not saying Trump is completely irrelevant because he is a powerful, rich white man, but he is not as in control as some people think he is. Trump needs to take this L because Trump acted like after he lost, he was going to create this revolution, which arguably he has created somewhat of a revolution in some cases around election deniers. But this whole idea that, he was going to create this massive army, and his strategy was that he was going to lose the election, and because he was bitter, he was going to run all of these Republicans and primary all these ones he didn't like, and he was going to take over the Congress, take over the Senate with all these extreme far-right nuts. That was the plan. And then that would set him up to run for president in 2024 and get reelected. That was the strategy. Unfortunately, that strategy did not work. Or fortunately, it did for us, right? The voters, the people, folks with common sense. What instead happened is that most of his candidates did not win. And even the ones that did win, some of them weren't really rocking with him. They just kind of used him to get a seat, such as J.D. Vance in Ohio, right? Like this guy who inspired the book, who wrote the book Hillbilly Elegy. He was not a Trump fan or a Trump supporter at all. And his book arguably was trying to create this narrative that this is how a Trump gets elected. But he never thought positively of him. Then all of a sudden, he wants to run for the Senate and he gets this seat. And I'm just like, this guy is so ill-fitted for the position. But he's not really a Trump person. But he did use the Trump support, or I guess at one point in time, to get some victory. So Trump has one victory. But a lot of these other candidates, most of them, that he backed, they didn't win. I mean, in Pennsylvania, he was backing Dr. Oz. And Dr. Oz got that ass beat. More on that in a minute. But overall, this red wave, this red tsunami, all these people that just rock with Trump, they didn't make it happen. Which is good. Which is good for democracy. Because to be honest, if there would have been a red wave this time around, I would have been scared shit. I would have been like really worried. Like, damn. Like, I mean, Trump get elected was enough. But like, wow, y'all still haven't learned y'all lesson? After all of these stunts, after all this shit this man has pulled, y'all are really about to give this man a reformation? So that was the one thing that I will say really stood out to me the most, was the fact that there was a clear and obvious sign that they were not rocking with Trump as much. These numbers, some of these races, yeah, but a lot of these races, Trump just did not have enough support out externally as much he think he did to sway the election. Now he wants to act as though it's not him, it's the Republicans. Everybody on that side should take an L. Take the L, hold the L. But I think they really should for Trump, though. Trump was the one who put some candidates up to win these primaries. But then once they won the primaries, they were ill-equipped to actually win the race. Period. So I see so many different things that I have to look at and come to terms with on a regular basis. And I'm just like, it's very telling. So, that's one part of it, though. That's one part. But there was no red wave. Period. No red wave. Not at all. Not by the slightest. And I think it's important to note that, right? Because what we did have instead in certain areas, such as in Pennsylvania, we had what was known as a blue wave. We have a massive blue wave that has come to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania now has 2 Democrats in the Senate seats. We're very close to getting potentially the state house, which is huge because that hasn't happened since 2010. We also have the first ever Black woman to be a Congress woman, a U.S. Congresswoman, Summer Lee, okay, who just won a congressional seat. And she's a radical. She's a rebel in a good way. These are compliments. But someone like her in Congress, her being the first Black woman in Pennsylvania history to get elected to U.S. Congress, Summer Lee, a millennial. Okay, we're going to claim that, okay? She's incredible. She was the vice chair of the Congressional Black, not the Congressional Black Caucus, but like the Black, I guess it is Congressional Black Caucus, of the State House. She was the vice chair. That's before she ran for, of course, Congress. But she won, and that was a pretty big race and a pretty big damn deal. So for her to get that seat, that was incredible. Governor, of course, Josh Shapiro won. Austin Davis won as well as lieutenant governor. He's now the first Black person, male or female, to ever be the lieutenant governor in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So you all heard him first on this podcast. He had a challenge race and he came out on top. And of course, for Senate, John Fetterman beat Dr. Oz for Senate. And, I'm having a moment here because I get to talk my shit. So many months of K-Hivers and others who just really wanted to deny the laws of gravity. I called it. I called it. I said, this guy is going to win because I saw the numbers. I saw it. And people just tried to find every little thing that they thought was going to end him. And I was like, nah, the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high for fuckery. Now, clearly that's not the case in Georgia, but we'll get to that. But in Pennsylvania, I was like, no one's going to buy Dr. Oz. I mean, granted, he had some major support. There was some energy there for him. I mean, even though he paid for his campaign, a lot of it out of his own pocket, shit had to get done, right? This guy didn't have it. Now, I could have told you all that he was going to have a hard time because when I look at the people who was supporting him, well, let me back up real quick. Well, first of all, Trump was a problem. But let me talk about like the fact that when you look at that primary race he had, okay, and this is just the Republican primary, he barely got that win. So the Republicans were already divided on him during the primary versus when you look at someone like, Fetterman, he had a contested race, but he literally whooped that ass. It was like a sizable defeat. It was almost like they were like, why are you here, baby? Like, why did you even come? I mean, that's how well he did. So, the evidence was there. The evidence was there. All signs was pointing to the fact that Fetterman was going to win. Now, when he had the stroke, people got a little worried. I was more so worried, not about his electability, but was he going to be actually okay? According to doctor's orders, he's fine. He had a moment, but he's been able to persevere. And I think that's what voters liked about him. I think when people look back at that debate, people are just saying, the initial political commentators were like, oh, will this hurt his fundraising, his chance to win? All this ableism rhetoric, and he rose above it. He rose above it. He got a brand new bag. I mean, he rose above it. So it was a win that I was super pleased with. I was super hype about. Couldn't ever be more so happy to see somebody go from, to follow a candidate like that from the very end. Definitely a highlight of my political journalism career for sure. I'll say that much. So, other news, okay? Because we got to talk about Georgia. There's a lot going on in Georgia. There's a lot going on in Georgia. And I don't know. It's a lot. For starters, Stacey Abrams lost to Brian Kemp, the incumbent, for the seat. And it was a sizable margin of victory for him. Stacey just didn't have it. And there's a lot of conversations right now, like within the Democratic Party about what to do with her and what's going on and blah, 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 blah. Well, for starters, I'll just say that Stacey Abrams is a rock star. Stacey Abrams is someone that people truly admire and trust, and somebody who I thought was going to be the governor of Georgia. Unfortunately, because of a lot of things that played a role in it, she didn't get it. But I want to unpack some of this. For starters, I need us to get away from this narrative of acting, like specifically when it comes to voting, not in general, but in voting, acting like black men didn't vote for her, support her. Okay, there was Killer Mike and his foolishness. But when you look at these numbers, they said 11% black men did not. 6% of black women didn't either. Okay, there was a 5-point difference between them. But overall, by a large majority, black men supported Stacey Abrams. They voted for her, they supported her. So I don't know where this dumping pile narrative of that the media really spun really criticizing come after black men, being like, oh, this black male voter engagement situation. Will they show up and come out for Kamala? I mean, Florian slip, Stacey Abrams, will they come out for her? And it was all of this rhetoric, and the truth is they did. They absolutely did. They did. They did their part. I mean, no one is topping black women when it comes to supporting Democrats. But the second in line is black men. Period. That's a fact. Enough. Enough. Enough of these tired talking points. Enough of these lazy little sound bites and bits. I'm tired of it. Like, I'm really over it when it comes to this. I mean, now there are fair critiques about black men, right? But that's just not intellectually honest. It's just not. It's not intellectually honest to frame it like this race was on the hands solely of black men. And I think the problem that when we do this is that we ignore the other groups that could have stepped up, right? There's like in between 50, 55, 45 between, whether or not Asian voters are going to go for Stacey or even Latinx. It was still, a wider margin of voters that still chose the other candidate, the Republican. So we have the data and the receipts. And the way that some people are real quick to want to come at, black people about voting is just weird, because no matter on the scale, we're the most bang for buck. We're the most bang for buck in terms of, all of the ways that we support the Democratic Party. We understand our rights. I mean, we understand what's at stake. We're not the ones who need this lecture. But we divorce white people, specifically white women, from accountability on how they chose to show up to the polls. Because here they were supporting Kemp, here they were supporting, other folks. But we'll get there. But I need people to stop. Now, as far as Stacey Abrams goes as a candidate, I'm going to say some things that may not necessarily be popular, but I think we're in a space where we need to learn. Because just like Texas with Beto got that ass whooped 3 times. This man ran for, he ran for, I guess, Senate first. Then he ran for president, and then he ran for governor. And it's like, what are y'all doing? So, how does this happen? So my critique, I'll say for right now, Stacey Abrams, I think, is a good mobilizer. I think that she was good with encouraging people to get out the vote. But I think as a candidate for herself, I think that she, I don't think that this is the reason why she lost. And honestly, I don't know if it even matters, right? But there is something to be said. And so I will say this. I will say that I think there was a lot of racism and misogynoir that led to Stacey Abrams, not winning, right? I think that you cannot ignore that. People talked about, how she lives and she's a single black woman, her appearance of her being, on the plus size, that this could have played a role. And I don't doubt it for 1 second. I don't doubt that might have played a role into how people decide to be biased. However, I do think that there were certain moments with Stacey, and I've read in the New York Times in pieces where, she was very much so, I don't know if the word is diva. I don't think that's the word, but, people said she had problems with her staff and she didn't really engage me as much as people would have wanted her to, and so anytime she could take out that time to do it, I think that made all the difference. And what I mean by some media, I'm talking about like the smaller nicher media. Like there was one radio station guy who was in his New York Times story talking about how he wanted to bring up, her coming on shows and things, and she kind of cut him short and hung up on him. And on a radio interview, and that she, there was a lot of these moments, and I think that, now that this is the second big loss, not to say give up on your dreams, but maybe she has to reconfigure what that looks like. What it looks like to be in that seat. Do you want power and influence, or do you want this specific title? Like, I just think that's the real question. Because a lot of people thought, I thought, for example, she could be DNC chair. And she still could, but there's another black man in that position. So I don't know what would be the other alternative for her at this point. She could run again, which I doubt she will do at that point. I think, she could do DNC chair. I could see them telling Jamie Harrison, hey, make some room. But it's at this point, I think it's safe to say that, she may not be an elected official. She was previously, a state representative, state senator. She's been in the Georgia State House. She's definitely on the state level was there, but I think she wanted to go a little bit higher, right, to governor. And at one point in time, there was conversation about her being a VP. But I think it's safe to say that that's a wrap. I think it's safe to say that at this point, she has to reconfigure where she wants to do. And, I think there's a lot there, to consider. So, that there's always that too. So, as far as this race right now, so let me be clear. This U.S. Senate is the Democrats are taking control of the U.S. Senate. After that race in Arizona, I think we can all, at this point, they've taken control of the Senate. But they need to have 51 states. I say 51 states because there is, not 51 states, 51 senators, because to be honest, this is not over yet, right? We need to see what happens in Georgia. There is a runoff between, of course, Democrat Raphael Warnock and this buffoon, okay? I mean, I can't even take him seriously. Herschel Walker, ladies and gentlemen, Herschel Walker. This race, I mean, Georgia loves a runoff. And to be honest, they love doing runoffs on purpose. They've been doing it, and it was something about a monkey in the jungle, some type of term, but they did it on purpose to try to stop Black people from being able to win races, so they would always try to find some way to do it. And this has been something they've done in their politics forever. Not every state, of course, has runoff races. So, for example, in Pennsylvania, there would have been no runoff race. Whoever has a majority of vote wins. There's no runoffs like that. So it's interesting to see this in Georgia. Georgia's really big on runoffs, but not really anywhere else. There was no runoff in this situation. But I mean, Georgia is, right? And so it's interesting because technically, the last time we checked, Warnock was in the lead. He had the lead in that 3-person race. It's that independent that splintered the vote between them. And it's kind of weird how races are so tight. But that's why I'm also saying, too, that the situation with Kemp and Stacey Abrams couldn't be justified because there was such a wide margin. It was such a wide margin that you couldn't deny his win, right? But with Warnock and Walker, they're going to have to take this to the next level. There's no denying it. When I was looking at the fact that this man said that America is the best country in the United States or something like that, I was like, wait, what? What is he saying? It's so bad that it's almost excruciating how bad, it was. There's so many elements that really, just took this all for a loop. And it's weird because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how could this happen? Why would this be the race, right? Not Oz and Fetterman. No. It's a race between two Black men in Georgia, an incumbent versus some random outsider who isn't electably qualified. This is not even the Republicans' best pick, but yet they chose violence. And you have to get to a certain point where you realize that this is performative. This is a setup. This is a trap. It's everything that you expect from them. But then it's like, damn. But here we are. So all I'm going to say to Georgians, Democrats in Georgia, you got December 6th, that runoff race, we watching. And everybody needs to go out there and support him. Support Warnock. Because if Herschel Walker becomes a U.S. Senator, I don't know what I'm going to do. Plus, let's not act like this has not happened before. Warnock had to be in a runoff race, a couple years ago when he inherited the seat. So once he gets in, he's got 6 years, y'all. 6 years. That's a long time. These are, there was some hits taken during the Senate in 18 and 20. Now I feel like the Democrats are positioned to build the momentum and to lock in these seats. They got to. They're getting close. But really, if we get this 51st seat, okay, in the Senate, several things this means, right? If we have 51 races, we have a strong official majority, right? At first, we were 50-50, which allowed for Kamala to come in the middle. We had a majority leader, right? But we don't have all the other benefits that come from a natural, majority in the Senate. So with a natural majority in the Senate, which is 51, right? You also have that invisible 52 if a tie happens, which is what was the case with VP Kamala Harris, is that because it was 50-50 between the Senate and the Republicans, Kamala always had to be the tiebreaker, and she always had to be there to make sure a vote goes through. Now, she doesn't have to be there because the Democrats have the majority amongst themselves. She does not have to be there to tie break. The other great thing about her is that, about this more so, is that this also cuts back power from the two, I would argue, wish-washy Democrats. So like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin, they're losing power now. Now, only one of them might fold. But if both of them do, there's no given chance that both of them will fold together at certain cases. If one chooses to, that's fine, but that doesn't stop what the rest of the party is doing. And that's crucial, right? That doesn't stop what everyone else has going on. And let's be clear, 2 years from now, we may not have to worry about that, but the next 2 years are crucial, and we have to see what happens. I would have loved for there to be enough votes for the filibuster to be pushed, but I don't think we have enough majority to get the filibuster knocked out. I think we need to have about 53, which would have included another seat and then Kamala's vote, but we're not going to have it, I don't think. We have 52, but we don't have 53, which is fine. But we have enough to carry us through. That we have enough that we can now take over committees. Senate committees can have majority rule now. They now can have the majority of committees. They can stop bad actors from trying to block and prolong policy. There's still benefits to a 51st seat. Very important. And also Mitch McConnell, yet again, is not the majority leader. He's still the minority leader. So that's one great thing about all of this. So Mitch McConnell was getting a little excited. Now, not so much. And also, there is still the race over the House. People still think Republicans can take over the House. There are people that's predicting that at 219, that Democrats will control the House. It's still up in the air. We still don't have the finalizations. It's still a toss-up. But it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. But I'm telling y'all right now, this is what we have. This is the best that we have. As far as other races go across the country, 12 women governors, the most in U.S. history that we've had 12 female governors. We have 2 lesbian governors across the country. It's a lot of milestones to be achieved in this class. We have a Gen Zer. Yes, a Gen Zer. That's my brother's generation. 25 years old. Max Frost in Florida, which is the only major Democratic victory in Florida. Because let me just say this before I get into what is next, is that Florida swept. They stayed red. Poor Val Demings. She ran a race, but she didn't win. Marco Rubio is still going to the Senate. Ron DeSantis, of course, was going to win governor. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Florida is a red state now. No questions asked. Just like, Pennsylvania is blue now, just really, really blue. Florida is red. No questions asked now. Which brings me to my next point. Trump is getting ready to run for re-election. He wants to run for president. He wants another shot. He's scared. And he's scared because his biggest opponent, the person we presume to be his biggest challenger, is going to step up and run. Initially, he hasn't declared, but everyone knows that the race for president right now is for Republican side is a race between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, of course, is the governor of Florida who just won re-election. Those two are duking it out for the top spot. To get the Republican nomination. Everything looks like it's in Ron DeSantis' favor right now. Trump is losing power. Not losing influence, but he's losing power. And there is a lot of interesting friction and tension that is shaping up this. And we have to see how this plays out. But I'm telling you all right now, there's nothing like this. There's nothing like this. This race, these guys are about to really come for each other. And it's gonna get bloody. Trump has put out, several veiled threats that he has embarrassing information about, DeSantis that he's. And listen, I must say, as a guy like Trump, at this point, how can you embarrass him? He's done had every type of scandal, known to man. It's really hard to not see, it's really hard not to see what's going on. Because I saw the stuff going on. I see what his tactics are. Trump is desperate. Trump is looking for blood. He's looking for blood. He's hungry. And I feel like there is some stuff that's going on, and yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see where we go with it. Twitter. I have to get this off of my chest about Twitter. I have been following the mayhem. Folks that called me, a couple people called me, basically doing the, hey, should I get a Twitter Blue account? Should I subscribe? And then I said to them, no, I don't think you should. I don't trust Twitter. I don't think your money's going to be in good hands under Elon Musk. So, if you don't know this already, if you live on a rock, or if you unsubscribe from Twitter, I haven't left Twitter yet. I'm just holding on. I built a following. It was my favorite app. I'm very disappointed in it. I'm having a little faith that sometime from today, a year from now, we'll be having a different conversation. Like, I don't even think Elon will be in the conversation then. I don't think he's going to want to have this app. I think, it's just not going to be the same. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm hoping that he's out of the picture, that he gives up on this and let someone else more mature and ready to take over, because everything that Twitter was and was supposed to be, he's ruined. He's ruined its identity, its je ne sais quoi. He's ruined everything that Twitter is supposed to represent. So in true Elon Musk mode, he decided that he was going to sell verification of blue check marks, and that anybody who had a Twitter Blue account will be verified, right? They'll have a blue check. The only catch is that when you check on the blue check, it says to people that your blue check was either given because you had a subscription. It doesn't say you're a dignified, or not dignified, but distinguished individual, like a high profile person. So it's optional whether it's, it's you decide whether or not, you want the subscription. Now, when you see my blue check on Twitter, it notes me as a notable public figure of some sort, right? But some of these people, they have blue checks, the same ones, but you click on it and it says you have a subscription. So I started to notice an increase in the blue check mark. People really wanted it that bad. It's very telling. But it's like if everybody can get one, then it's almost like then no one really, But it wasn't because of the following, but it was just like everyone was so hype about these checks. I was like, okay. I saw the problem with this immediately because in my mind I was like, well, if everybody can get one, then people can pretend to be whoever the hell they want to be, right? And I was right. Impersonations went up the roof. There was a company pretending they were selling discounted insulin for free, which was disgusting. I think it was the company's called Lilybet or whatever. People were impersonating celebrities, pretending to be elected officials. I saw George W. Bush one. And because of the verification, the picture, people really ran with it. And it just created chaos on Twitter. So now Elon has scrapped that deal for now. They're taking it off. They're not allowing this Twitter Blue program to exist anymore under these guidelines. And now he's got to go back to the drawing board. It's reckless. It's reckless how much he is sitting up, being able to just throw anything up in the sky, no regulations, no one holding him accountable. I mean, this has become a shit show. It already was. It is a shit show. And it's just frustrating because there was so much genius ingenuity in Twitter and they sucked the life out of it. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But speaking of scams, cryptocurrency. Let me just say, I knew this day was going to come. Another cryptocurrency company has filed for bankruptcy, has defaulted, has collapsed. More and more people are starting to, I feel like now that we're transitioning out of the serious phase of lockdown. So I'm not going to say the pandemic is over because clearly the pandemic is still going on. What I will say is lockdown. That's the word I've been trying to use. So when I say that the lockdown is over, I'm not saying the pandemic's over, clearly. But during lockdown, there was a lot of people telling people to invest in crypto, telling black communities to learn how to code in crypto. And there was a lot of people selling crypto ideas and promoting these brands and trying to get black people in cryptocurrency. I always felt like it was a scam. I always felt like it was something that was odd. For all that money Jay-Z has, he was investing in people taking advantage of cryptocurrency. Disgusting, right? And so now a lot of these cryptocurrency companies are coming up as fraud. They're not lasting. They're not standing the test of time. They're getting out of business. Shit is not funky. People are scared, right? I'm never going to invest anything in something I can't see or I can't believe in literally. That I don't know about. I don't know about it and I can't see it. That's a double whammy. That's how I feel about crypto. I can't see it. And I don't necessarily know if I believe in it. I mean, I don't believe in it, but what's the point? And so to all of those, black folks who was out here shaming other black people about money and the chestnut checkers crew, because that's what I call y'all. How you feeling about this cryptocurrency? Right? How much of a piece of shit it is. How much money you spend in this, investing in this idea, and for it to all run amok. Period. So, Brittany Griner, she's still in Russia and she's still going through it. They're antagonizing her over there. It's been days, y'all. I mean, it's been months and weeks. It's been tragic what's happened to her. And every time I wrote about her for the Griot in a previous piece. It's a while back. And I wrote about the intersections of what happened to Brittany and how the double standards around gender and race and sexuality. This is a black queer woman, okay? She is of the margins, for real, different intersex. And she is caught up in this international beef, in this war. And I just know that if this was someone else that was white, that was male, that we wouldn't be having these same conversations. I have not forgotten of her. I believe in her. I hope she remains alive and safe. And we got to bring her home. That's really what I got to say. We got to bring her home. So, my goodness. LeBron James falling off across the board. I've been talking about LeBron for a minute, but I'm really over him, y'all. I think I thought LeBron was an upstanding model athlete. Clearly, that's Dwayne Wade. Outside the break baby situation, but we don't talk about that. But I'm really disappointed in LeBron. I really thought he was the other side of Jordan, right? Like Jordan was. I still believe that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Let me just say this. I will forever stand 10 toes down that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time in the NBA. That is the GOAT. Period. People talk about LeBron and his records and his this and his that. But let me tell you, these 2020 players are not the 90s players that Jordan played against. The scale, the value, the intensity. Now, there are some good people now. Steph Curry's incredible. You know, I'm not going to take away from some of the phenoms. But overall, I just feel like Michael Jordan was just a pioneer and a revolutionary and just what he did in the industry. I mean, he mainstreamed shoes. Before everybody was really into sneaker deals and stuff, Michael Jordan made that. Like, that's just how much power he had. I mean, the stories of what would happen at the games. I mean, this man is an icon. And his record and his championship rings to prove it. Just there would be no LeBron if there was no Michael Jordan. And I think that we sometimes miss the mark on that when we do this, you know. We miss the mark on that. So I just feel like now is the time to recenter and recharge and reprioritize, you know, the real athletes. You know, but okay, let me clarify this. I love some of the great charitable work that LeBron has done. I will never take that from him. I think he's done a lot of incredible work and advocacy work. However, ever since he's become a billionaire, I feel like he has become tone deaf. His ongoing support for Tory Lanez is cringy as fuck. And he doubled downs on it. And it's like, so you don't believe Meg. You don't believe the Stallion. How do you not believe the Stallion? How do you not believe her? That ain't sitting well with me. And just, yeah, a lot. So, can't rock with that right now. Can't rock with him right now. And I just don't understand, for all the stuff he talks about supporting black women, you know, this is what he's doing to Meg. Not a fan. Not a fan. Drake is being sued. First of all, this whole album rollout, 21 Savage, all this stuff. I mean, he's getting sued by Vogue. You probably heard about this. It's like $4 million, something like that. He's got millions upon millions. It's no big deal. But it's just that it's interesting because I keep telling people, like, the album is probably going to chart at #1 on the Billboard. You know, I don't know if he'll get #1 single out. He might, you know. I just think Drake has finally have gotten to the point of being uncool to the masses. Like, he's lost the cultural competency. Like, don't let me get it twisted. He's going to chart, right? He's going to chart, but he's not the same. He's not in the cultural zeitgeist as he once was. I've been saying this for a while, but people have been arguing with me about his downloads and his album sales. But I feel like he's finally on the decline. I feel like people are just finding him to be very forced. I mean, his whole aesthetic, his looks and stuff, he just looks silly. He looks like he's just cosplaying Hood now. I'm just like, why are you this way? Why? Why are you doing this? This is just weird. It's just weird. And I think he's stuck in Neverland. And while the rest of us has grown up, he has not grown up. And David Dennis, Jr., who is an incredible journalist and writer. He wrote this great piece like a year ago about Drake and growing up, and I would encourage you all to read it. But it just really put all this in full circle. Like gave me the words to understand why I never was much of a fan of him. His earlier music, his mixtapes, all that stuff was really good. But everything else from him has been kind of subpar. I feel like Nothing Was the Same was like the last great Drake album, in my opinion. Like, I feel like Nothing Was the Same was like the last time I was enthusiastic about him. He's had a couple of little hits in between, but nothing compares to that. After that, Views, all this other stuff, it just feels sold out commercial. But I'm 31. What do I know? I mean, he keeps making music for younger people, so it started off with millennials. Now he's really trying to make stuff for the Gen Zers, and then he's probably gonna go to the next generation. I don't know what Gen Zers is. It? I mean, after Z, what we gonna go with numbers? Gen Zero, not Gen Z, Gen Zero, or. But it's obvious what's going on there. Um, this week the Grammy nominations are coming. They're coming on Tuesday. I'm really excited. I'm a little nervous. Not for myself. I mean, I'm not going for a Grammy at this moment, but I am a little excited to see how this is going to play out. I mean, who else is a little bit on the edge? I mean, I must say I'm a little nervous. Will Beyonce pull it off? I think she will. I think she will get a good number of nominations. I don't doubt her inability to get a bunch. I mean, she's the queen of getting massive nominations. Now, whether she wins them sometimes, that's always up for debate. But I definitely think Renaissance could get Album of the Year nomination guaranteed. Song and Record of the Year, Break My Soul, maybe. That's a strong maybe. I don't see them nominate. I mean, Record of the Year for Break My Soul, maybe. She'll definitely sweep up those R&B, those dance categories, electronic dance categories. I can see her doing something there. They might give her a pop nomination, maybe, strong maybe. She'll definitely get some R&B categories for sure. But I'll say that. I'll say I think that's where she'll land. Other nominees, definitely Adele. I think Adele is going to get that Album of the Year nomination. Easy on Me definitely will get Record and Song of the Year nominations. I predict definitely the pop categories. Adele will be in the pop categories. So that's pop vocal album, pop album, pop solo performance. She's going to get in all of those for sure. Harry Styles, Harry's House, same situation. As It Was, same situation. I think those are two lock-in pop artists. Bad Bunny, I don't know. I can see Bad Bunny getting Album of the Year nomination for sure. But I don't know if he's going to get it. Part of me kind of debates whether that's going to happen with him because of just everything else that's going on with the categories. And I also kind of feel like there's some like level of like, I don't want to say category cheating, but I know some people are bringing up that, he's gotten nominations in the Latin Grammys. Will he be able to get both? It's still up in the air. I don't know what the final verdict is going to be, but I don't know. I don't want to put him out, though. He'll be the first Spanish-speaking mainstream album, and I mean, it is the highest-selling album in the United States this year. So I wouldn't say, to count him out. I wouldn't count Bad Bunny out for that nomination. But, I don't know if he's going to get any other categories as far as record or song of the year, any of those. I don't see that. As far as, let me see. Who else is out? I mean, Lizzo, I don't know if Lizzo's getting an Album of the Year nomination, but I would love to see her be nominated for About Damn Time. Record of the Year, Song of the Year, either or. Personally, I would prefer her in, I guess what I would prefer. I would love her to win one of those Grammys. I feel like she's long overdue. I really think that she is oftentimes undervalued in the industry. I mean, she's definitely got her Grammys, but I don't know if she has gotten. I mean, she's got a lot of nominations, but I just would think that she should win in a major category this time around. I really think that her work, especially with this last album, especially with everything that's been going on with her, just a lot of the haters, the fat shamers. I just think this is her time. I think this would be nice for her to win. I think About Damn Time is, in my opinion, I think the best song of the year. I don't know. I'm about ready to say that. I think the message, everything about it, just is timely. I love Break My Soul. Don't get me twisted. It is a great song. But yeah, I mean, but also I will say, I would not be surprised if Adele wins for Easy On Me. Because Easy On Me is, look, say what you want about Adele, but she's a master songwriter. But she's already won, like, I want to say twice already. She definitely won for Rolling in the Deep. She won for Hello. I mean, she's already won before, twice. So, I mean, do she really need it? I mean, that's a question. But, I mean, she would be a strong fighter for that. As it was for Record of the Year, I could see it winning. But I don't know who's getting nominated. So maybe it might be too early to predict who's going to win these categories. But here's what I think is going to get nominated. So, I got Harry Styles. Best New Artist, I would like Lotto to get nominated. I really think Lotto has a shot. I would like to see Lotto be nominated. I don't know if Lotto will win. But Lotto being nominated for Best New Artist is definitely the kind of nomination I remember Sweetie got last year. And then before that was Meg Thee Stallion, who won that category, which was incredible. I don't know if she'll win Lotto, but it would be great to see that nomination. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens in Super Freaky Girl. For all the controversy around it being a pop song, a hip hop song, will it even get nominated in the pop category? It's still a good question. Now that we know that Silk Sonic has taken its music out of consideration, it's curious to see who's going to take that slot. The Weeknd is not participating in the Grammys. So even his album, which was also very popular this year, isn't even in contention either. There's a lot of artists that's taking their stuff out. So, I almost buried the lead. I think Kendrick's going to get nominated for Album of the Year. Kendrick Lamar. You know how I feel about that album, but people like it. The people like it. So I can't, I mean, who am I to, it's popular. The kids go for it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who else fills up these slots. I mean, if they're doing 10 albums, up to 10 albums could be nominated. I can see people like Lizzo slide in there with Special. I can see some of that. Bad Bunny. Well, let me see. Beyonce. Harry Styles, Adele, Bad Bunny. Yeah. Lizzo. I mean, these are the ones in my head right now. Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I think he's going to sweep all the rap categories. For sure. I think Kendrick's going to have a massacre. Because, I mean, it's a good album. Someone said Future. Now, let me say this. I don't know what Future is going to do. And I think he's going to get nominated in all the rap categories. But I don't see him winning. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe a collaboration or something. Who knows? But I'm not, that's what it is. But we'll see. We'll see how it shapes up. I know some people in the Academy who's been telling me that there's going to be some surprise upset and snub. They don't know who's going to be the upset. I hope it's not Beyonce. But apparently somebody's going to get a snub. And they said it's going to be potentially as massive as when The Weeknd didn't get nominated in anything, any major categories or anything. And how annoying that was. And that was really weird. We'll see. We'll see what the Grammys do. I think the Grammys really want to be popular right now. So I don't see them doing too much damage. But we're going to see what happens and how it plays out. This movie right here, Wakanda Forever. Where do I start? Where do I start? The best movie I've seen this year. I so many emotions, so many messages. I was a little in the very beginning worried how they were going to be able to pull this off, but they do. Marvel did it. I mean, Ryan Coogler did it. It is a masterpiece. It's long as hell. It's about 2 hours and a half. Marvel movies are long by default, but it never has a dull moment. Like you get into the film, it lays a good premise, it lays a good foundation. And these are like the only Marvel movies I go see. I don't see anything else at Marvel. Like I don't care about any other. I know nothing else. Black Panther is the only like Marvel film I go to the movies to go see. All these other films, I don't really run to go see them, to be honest. But this, I just really want to see. It was worth it. It was a movie, it's experience. It's one of those type of movies where you don't have to be into super action hero movies and Marvel films to appreciate it, because it's just really great storytelling and really good acting and just a great story overall. And so I love the film. There are some great messages, and I don't want to give it away because it is, I mean, I get it, but it's a box office smash. I feel like everybody's seen it. $180 million at the box office post lockdown. That is incredible. Take into account everything that we know about, the pandemic and everything. For them to be able to sell out. Look, I saw it the night before. I saw a preview, saw it in 3D, which is interesting seeing films in 3D, but it was interesting seeing it in 3D. Kind of fun though. I mean, you get so used to it. Once you watch a film in 3D like that, it kind of grabs you and you can't like unsee it. So it actually makes the experience more immersive. I actually find myself staying up more. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I have this, well, more so my husband, but this tendency, he has this tendency of, if he's at a movie theater late and it's not a matinee, there's going to be a moment in time where he's going to, like, we used to do this all the time. We would go to movies and I want to see the preview or whatever the night before. We saw a movie, Star is Born. We saw another Gaga film, actually. It was the House of Gucci. Both times, this man fell asleep in a theater. It's like something about the theater make people feel comfortable to fall asleep. I don't know if it's the cozy couch, the seats, but this man can never stay up unless we go to an early matinee or something, for whatever reason. It's interesting. However, with this movie, because it was in 3D, I don't know. I think he drank coffee or something before. So he was like, you know what? He was into it. So he saw the movie from the complete beginning to end without any paces, no falling asleep. But maybe that's what it takes. Is I don't even drink coffee, but a cup of coffee and nap before, or just some good 3D that would just keep you engaged in the film. You can't just doze off. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the way. But it used to be funny because like we'll go watch a movie or something, and then I'm into it, and I'm like, you didn't see that, or you didn't, and he just like, I was like, you know what? Let me get started. Then once we leave, he's up, and then he wants to know more. He's like, oh, I gotta watch it again. I gotta go see it the next afternoon or something. I'm just like, listen. So I would say that this is a long film. If you're one of those type of people, you got to boo. This is not a let's go to dinner and a movie. Let's go watch the movie first, then do dinner. Because if you keep them hungry, you keep her hungry, whoever. If you keep your partner hungry before the film, then they have motivation to stay up and watch the film. They'll watch the film and then you could go eat dinner and talk about it. But I've realized that the whole dinner before a movie thing is just it's not working over here. It's not working over here at all. Can't do it. Thought I could. I realized I can't. Gotta know your limitations. So, yeah, I highly recommend this film. I think it's worth watching multiple times if you can. Lots of themes and messages. I think as more people watch it, I'll probably will come back and revisit some of my thoughts about the themes in the film. But just know that I love it. And for all the people that was coming at Rihanna with her song "Lift Me Up," watch this movie And also stay after the trailers. Let me just say this. The moment the trailer comes on, the credits come on, don't get up and leave. I saw people, I was like, y'all don't know how Marvel movies work. Anyway, don't get up and leave. Stay in your seat and let those little credits get out the way. There's something more. There's always more. It never ends. Anytime anybody who knows about Marvel films, I learned this after the first Black Panther, but unfortunately we all found out when we didn't know Chadwick was going to die, of course, but whatever they was initially going to do, they clearly had to switch it up. But I think it's set up for Endgame. I can't remember. But I highly recommend it. Stay till after the credits because there's always more surprises from Marvel. But it's good. It's emotional. The film was emotional. It was just a lot of emotional. And you could tell they want you to cry. Oh, it's a tearjerker. I cried so many times about the film. I was an emotional mess. There's lots of surprises in the film too. And let me just say, I'm not going to say one thing, but I'll just say Marvel lied about something, y'all. And y'all going to find out what they lied about in a good way. But other than that, you're in for a pleasant surprise. So there's a lot of shows, lots of shows. So Abbott Elementary took a break this past week, as y'all know. We'll see what they're doing this upcoming week. So Abbott was out. Couldn't watch Abbott. I just rewatched episodes. Abbott's one of those shows. I feel like it's like the Black Office, where you could just throw an episode on no matter which one, and you're just gonna just watch and enjoy it like it's brand new. So I did that. Atlanta had its season finale. Haven't watched any of Atlanta. Gonna watch this season now. Now that it's over, I'm gonna watch it all and get back to y'all when I think. But it's done. It's done. And people have been sharing mixed thoughts about it, the show. You know, I don't want to say anything yet, but I've heard some interesting reviews about the show, which I think it warrants fair critique. Bobby, I Love You Per finale, y'all, not finale, reunion, baby, that reunion. I feel like now all the reality shows are having reunions because now Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is about to have their reunion, and let me tell you, that was the finale this past week. It was great. That finale hit so many notes. That exchange between Lil Scrappy and Mama Dean at the end of that season, it definitely put a lot of things in perspective about why he is the way he is. And like a lot of these men, you know, he's trying to break generational curses and generational trauma. And just recognizing that the way he's lived and the way how he's been treated was not of his doing. It was some powerful conversation happening in that scene. And also just putting in context to hip hop culture. And it was just, yeah, it stood out to me a lot. I can't wait to see the reunion, see how it plays out. But Bobby, I Love You Per reunion, just, it's ratchetry. It's a hot mess. I'm just really hoping that Zeus do not run this show about Blueface and Christian Rock. I thought they broke up. It was looking like that. Now they're together again. I'm over it. I'm over this. I'm over this back and forth between them. I'm tired of it. I just cannot. But you know, people do anything for love, right? Anything for love, anything for relevancy. I really am concerned about them though, because they got this show called Crazy in Love. I think it's coming out very soon on Zeus. The domestic violence that's happening, it's just none of this is a good look. And it's weird because you like looking at someone's whole entire relationship and reputation deteriorate. I know that Blueface don't have much of it, but I feel so bad for Christian. So I hope they don't run the show, but they most likely will because capitalism is what it is. But I hope people make smart decisions. As far as I go, and wrapping up, I got a lot of planning on my hands. Got a lot of different things ripping and rolling and moving. You know, I begin this week doing the full finishing up the audio recording of the book. Super excited about that. You know, keep me in your thoughts, of course. That process is going to be fun. I can't wait to talk about it after the fact. But Yeah, we're getting close. I mean, we're now in the 100 days away, less than 100 days away. We're on the countdown now to the book release, and here we are in the studio about to start the audio recording book to bring it all together. So I'm super excited, I'm super thrilled, and super happy. And thank you all for your love, your lovely notes, and your kind messages and your DMs. And shout out to my girl Samantha. She was laughing at me. There was something I was talking about Ernestly speaking, talking about a double entendre or whatever, entendre. And I was talking about like treating it as a side dish with cheese or something. She said she couldn't get enough of it from the last podcast episode. Well, I'm happy listening, Sam. I hope you're doing good too. So yeah, but it's been a great November. Looking forward to, I gotta admit, looking forward to Thanksgiving. Miss Dawn is cooking up a feast. I'm off after next week, so I'm looking forward to these students. I want a break. They want a break. I cannot wait to this week, for teaching. Because, it's at that part of the year where you start getting all of your students. They start coming to you asking for last minute assignments and extra credit. And you're just at this phase where you're like, I just want to be able to be done with what I need to be done with. And so I'm in this interesting, moment right now where I'm just like, I got to grade, final assignments, final this, final that. But, it's going to come together. I mean, this is what it means to be a professor. People always say, I want to be a professor. Listen, I got to grade these, got to grade these last minute papers. But, I'm it could be worse, right? In other words, these are first world problems, grading papers and all that. But I love my students and can't wait to have a break for my students so they can get their final assignments done. Because you can tell I'm a no-playing professor. I don't play. But I love it all. And I love you all. Thank you all for listening. And as always, be well and be best.
Earnestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Earnestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.